we want to get a considerable share market, global share market, by introducing this kind of product. I have been working on cancer research for more than 13 years. The evidence-based medicine, or evidence which we have in the system, in the traditional system, and the scientific content, scientific finding that we have discovered during the in vitro and animal testing.
Today we are here with an expert who has done multiple contributions towards cancer research, specifically in Sri Lanka. He is renowned and known for the inputs that he has provided, especially for the upliftment of Sri Lanka's medical field. Well, welcome you, sir. Can we please know, who are you?
Sanvi, actually I'm working as a professor in cell and molecular biology at the Institute of Biochemistry, Molecular Biology and Biotechnology, University of Colombo.
Professor, what is it exactly that you do?
Mainly, I have been working on cancer research for more than 13 years. In 2009, we started some basic research to check whether our natural resources like plants and other natural resources here in Sri Lanka. Sometimes at the first time in Sri Lanka, mainly cancer stem cell research.
So being a specialist in quite a challenging field like cancer research, there might definitely have been achievements that you might have conquered. Can we know a few?
Yes, during this period of time, I was able to conduct or supervise more than 25 MScs, master's degrees, and more than 5 PhDs. In all these activities, I was able to identify or discover new things like what are the natural resources which can use to fight against cancer and so on.
And when it comes to a lot of preventative measures when it comes to cancer, not a lot of people know about it, or not a lot of people have done research about it, and not a lot have been quite successful. If you had to dwell onto cancer prevention.
Yes, as you said, prevention is always better than treatment. As a result of all these research work, recently we were able to introduce or invent a specific product or nutraceutical which can be used for cancer patients as well as people who are willing to minimize getting cancer. Now, in 2022, we were able to launch it as a nutraceutical with the approval of Ayurveda department. Now, there are two segments when we do research, especially drug discovery research. We have two segments to conduct them in Sri Lanka. One is you can use available standard methods. People who are following in Western countries, we can get FDA approval, or in Sri Lanka locally we can go for NMRA approval. The other method is we can focus on our traditional knowledge and traditional medicine, complementary medicine, and integrative medicine is a huge area. Normally, all these segments are running with the evidence-based information. Now, what we have done with this nutraceutical, we have selected a particular formulation which has been used for many years for the cancer treatment in Sri Lanka. Now, sometimes you may know about there is a concept known as reverse pharmacology, right? In the reverse pharmacology aspect, we can gather the existing knowledge in a particular population or a particular country or whatever. Then we can go reverse. We can follow the process reverse manner. What we can do is we can check whether this formulation with evidence has any anti-cancer properties. As an example, if you are talking about cancer treatment, right, then it is not that much easy because you have to spend more time, more money, and so on. Then what we have done with this particular nutraceutical, it is known as Vernolac. We introduced it in 2022. We tested the possible anti-cancer properties of that particular formulation this particular formulation or the ingredient in that formulation can inhibit the cell growth of cancer. We have done so many in vitro testing on that particular formulation. I'm talking about vernolac, right? In addition to that, we were able to identify what are the organic compounds which is available in the formulation, and we isolated them and separated them and got the structure of the compounds. In addition to that, we completed the mechanism of action of those compounds separately. Then we go for the animal toxicity testing, which means now before we introduce a particular formulation or drug or nutraceutical or whatever, we have to check it for toxicity. We tested that particular formulation with a particular model, animal model, to check whether it has any toxicity. Right? Once we concluded there is no any toxicity for animals, then we introduce this as a nutraceutical. Then when we introduce this as a nutraceutical into the market, we considered the evidence-based medicine or evidence which we have in the system, in the traditional system, and the scientific content, scientific finding that we have discovered during the in vitro and animal testing. That's how we introduced this vernolac into the market.
Professor, you mentioned about nutraceutical and then vernolac, the product. For the general public that's watching in, what exactly does nutraceutical mean?
Yes, now nutraceutical means it is a product of a food, plant material or animal component which can possess medicinal value, or it has some diverse health benefits, right? There is a difference between drug and the nutraceutical. Exactly, this nutraceutical is completely natural, and some drugs that we are using in the Western setup, most of them are synthetic compounds. Normally in the science we say that natural compounds available in the plants and animal natural resources are stereomerically pure, which means we have only one compound which is involved in a particular activity or function in the nature. But when you synthesize the same compound in a lab, you can produce more isomers, more different compounds with different activities. But we are going to make a single compound, but because of that statement, nature is or natural compound is enantiomerically pure, but synthetic compounds are not enantiomerically pure.
So one might question, now since a new product was invented onto the nutraceutical aspect of it, what difference does nutraceutical, normal medication and vernolac have?
Yes, basically now we have a guideline. Once we introduce it as a nutraceutical into the market, we created our own guideline for the patient. You can use this nutraceutical along with your existing treatment, which means strictly you have to adhere into the instruction given by your oncologist or your doctor. You don't need to avoid those treatments. You have to carefully think about this. At the same time, you can consume vernolac as a nutraceutical. It will provide you, my aim was at the beginning, my aim was to enhance the quality of life of the patient. Now you know that if we consider a particular cancer patient, there are many difficulties when you treat them and when you handle them. There are so many side effects and there are more difficulties for them. Then my aim was to minimize those side effects, as well as if we can enhance the quality of life by using vernolac, that is better. That is more than enough.
So, Professor, you early on informed us as to the benefits of going for a nutraceutical path as opposed to a drugged path to cure cancer and to prevent cancer. But if we are to dive a bit deeper into it, how effective are these nutraceutical medications, specifically onto the eradication of cancer stem cells?
Yes. Basically now, if we take a particular synthetic pure compound, it can kill cancer cells. Cancer cells means it is a cell population with uncontrolled proliferation. Uncontrolled proliferation means it is dividing very fast, right? But in normal body, we have to maintain a balance between cell death and the cell division. In cancer, cell division part is very speed and rapid, very high. Then when we use a particular chemotherapy or whatever, those chemotherapy can target dividing cells and it can kill them, right? But it is a pure compound. It may contain some isomers of the same compound. But when we use this type of nutraceutical, we have now, as an example, we have used more than around 5 plants to create this vernolac, which means it contains more than hundreds of compounds, right? Around 15 compounds we have already identified with anti-cancer properties. Not only anti-cancer properties in vitro, those compounds can enhance antioxidant properties as well as anti-inflammatory properties also there. At the same time, you may know that 1 plus 1 is more than 2. This concept is known as synergism. Since we have more than 15 compounds, 15 active compounds with anti-cancer properties, anti-inflammatory properties, and antioxidant properties, they will create a synergistic effort to minimize the cancer cell growth. That is the finding that we have obtained during our in vitro research. When we do in vitro research, sometimes we tested how these compounds, how these ingredients in the formulation can regulate some cell signaling pathways which involve in cancer manipulation and so on. These are the things, these are the findings we have so far.
Professor, now one might assume, okay, you have medication that can prevent cancer, or you can go ahead, if you are currently a cancer patient, you look for options to prolong your life and to make sure that the cancer within yourself is eradicated. For a person like this, in your expert opinion, using vernolac or any other neurological sort of medication, how better would a patient feel after consuming the medication?
Yes, as I said, our aim was to enhance the quality of life of the patient, right, during the treatment period. Now we have reported, now this has been taken by many patients in Sri Lanka during the last year. Now we have observed that there are more good comments on vernolac, because some people say they improved their quality of life and they have reduced the cancer marker and now they feel better, right? Sometimes most of the doctors also advising them to use vernolac these days. These are the positive things. Other thing is now this nutraceutical market, if we consider this nutraceutical market, global nutraceutical market share is about $200 billion in 2022. Now people expected it will grow up to 450 billion US dollars, 450 billion US dollars within next 5 years, right? Our aim is not only to create a nutraceutical. Our aim is not only to give some relief for cancer. We want to get a considerable share market, global share market, by introducing this kind of product. Because sometimes you may know Sri Lanka is one of the hotspots in biodiversity, right? We have around 900 endemic plants, right? There are hundreds of plants with medicinal properties, right? Now, if we can at least get few $1 billion annually by developing this kind of nutraceuticals or value-added herbal product, it will help all of us for the development of country and so on.
All right, I think that covers about everything that one might want to know about nutraceutical medication and how one could go ahead and prevent the chances of you having cancer. While we thank you so much, Professor, for joining in onto the conversation of your invention, we would also like to thank you for your immense support and contribution towards the researchers onto the medical field of Sri Lanka. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.